Hey everyone, welcome back to another affordable Key Comic Books Revival Part 2, or Affordable Key Comic Books Volume 2, Number 2, whatever you want to call it. Whatever I put in I don't know. I've made the first one and this one back to back, and I still haven't decided what I'm going to call it. Definitely going to keep Affordable Key Comic Books in the title, but we'll see. Either Revival or Volume 2, whatever. Doesn't matter. But what does matter is I have another stack of books here to show. And let's get to them. Again, still keeping up with the Halloween season. I got a bunch of Bronze Age horror books for you. We could start off with this really, really cool cover. House of Secrets number 105. For those that can't get the House of Secrets 92, and that's still a pretty pricey book, For those that can't get that one, might get some of these. And there are a ton of these type of beautiful covers in both House of Secrets and House of Mystery by Wrightson. What's this one? This is Kaluta, I believe, and others that are still fairly affordable in nice shape. You don't have to get them in tattered shape in order for them to be affordable. Got a couple in this series right here. Let me just make sure they're in order. They are. Great books. Great books. We have Ghosts number 5. Look at that cover. I like the Ghosts series. I mean, I really like the first, maybe the first 15 or 20. I thought they were really good. And there are those after that number that are still very, very good. But when you got to the later part of the Ghosts, even though there are still some good ones there, they kind of are not as good as the earlier ones. But they're all fairly cheap. I mean, unless you're going for Ghosts number 1. Then you'd be expected to pay a little bit more for that. But some of these, nice shape, can't go wrong. And here's another one. I love this one a lot. I just love those that like collecting, the black backgrounds and all that stuff. We have Ghosts number 11. Look at that. It's a really cool copy. Really cool cover. And the last for Ghosts, this is another one I love. I love mummy covers. So here we have Ghosts number 12, the very next issue. Really cool. Really cool. Like I said in the last video, Marvel and DC were trying to do like a horror revival in the 70s when the code might have been a little laxed. They didn't quickly get right back to the extreme goriness that was the 50s in pre-code horror, but they were at least experimenting and trying to get as much product out as possible, and they gave a pretty good run of horror books, both companies, in the 70s. And here we have another DC one, another Neil Adams cover. Remember the last one I did, what was it? I think it was Witching Hour 14, right? Well, here we have House of Secrets number 90. Really cool cover. And affordable. A few more. Now this one right here, I put this is now affordable. This is Dark Reign, Young Avengers number 1. This is the first appearance of Sylvie, who was in the Loki TV series, Season 1 and Season 2. This is very affordable. When that character first came out in the Loki series, what was 2021, was it? Or something like that? Yeah, this book was fetching about over $100. And now, $20. Okay? Even though Season 2 had just come out, I never liked the Loki series. I thought it was just too stupid for me. It's just like I didn't really like the whole time. I really don't like this era in the Marvel cinematic universe. It's just too confusing, too boring. The characters are not really anything to write home about, especially Kang the Conqueror. I think he sucks. I mean, how do you have Ant-Man defeat Kang the Conqueror and then try to present Kang again in other forms as a serious threat? You can't. Even though there may be other versions of him, you can't. That character is damaged goods now. It's like in wrestling. When you have this super duper wrestler come over from back in the old days, from WCW to WWF, and that wrestler keeps losing, it taints the character. It taints that wrestler to where some of them just never recover. And that's happened to quite a few. I feel it's the same thing with Kang the Conqueror. Maybe my mind will change with upcoming films, that I highly doubt it. I think Kang the Conqueror, serious threat. On paper, they may make him a serious threat, but ruined after Ant-Man. And honestly, it's just, I don't know if it necessarily has anything to do with Ant-Man himself. It's just that one of the things, sorry if I'm going on a little rant, but, one of the things that made Thanos, I mean, we know Thanos is powerful in the comics, and we know Kang is powerful in the comics, but one of the things I think made Thanos even more powerful in the comics, or even a better villain per se, is because you only saw bits and pieces of him. And when you saw him, he was showing some level of power, and you had a whole movie, which was Infinity War, just showing how powerful he is, how he just beat the Hulk, he beat all the Avengers, and he won at the end. Here, when you have Kang the Conqueror, he shows up in Loki season 1 as a goofy character. Then he becomes a major threat in the latest Ant-Man and gets defeated. And then he's showing up again in Loki, another form. It's just, at that point, you're like, who cares? It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And I think they really dropped the ball with that character. But whatever. Sorry for the little rant. But as a result, Kang the Conqueror, number 8, I don't have it anymore. I sold mine off. And made a pretty good profit. Now, the grade that I sold that book off at, sure as hell ain't getting what I paid, what I sold it for. And it's the same thing with this. I had multiple copies of this, and I still have it in my collection. I was selling this for like $100, $120 a couple of years ago. Now, you'd be lucky if you get 25 for it. But for those that like first appearances, that are not into the whole flipping and selling things, all that, that's great. But if you want just to have the first appearance, you can get it. Good price. I mean, maybe you're not going to get it for $20. Maybe somebody want a little bit more, but you're not going to be spending what it was a couple of years ago. Never again, I don't think. Here's an affordable one, and I think this is a very famous one, too, at that. And here it is, a famous rights and cover, House of Secrets, number 103. Right? Black cover, really cool image on it, drawing on it. It's wonderful. I think you could fairly get that. I'm not saying it's super cheap, but I think it's more affordable than several others. Here's another one that was going for a lot of money. And not that it's not going for a little bit of money now. I think it still does. But I remember it was going for so much more a couple years ago. And those of you that are really into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, those of you that are into first appearances, here we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures number 1. The first appearance of Bebop and Rocksteady. I think even Krang, too. I haven't cracked this open in a while. But I think you can get this fairly cheap. And a decent grade. 9.0 or better, right? Last two, and they belong to Marvel. And they're superhero books. Here's one. Thor, God of Thunder, number 6. This is the first appearance, I believe, or cameo appearance of Null. The jury's still out on that character, but I remember that this book was going for a lot more than what it's going for right now, which makes this more affordable than what it was. So for those of you that maybe like the God of Thunder storyline that started with number 1 in this series, or for those of you that are just once again trying to get first appearances, it's a good book to get. And I'm going to close with Thor, God of Thunder, number 2. This is the first appearance of Gore the God Butcher. Talk about a fall from grace. When this book, it's not when it first came out, but when Gore was announced, throughout that whole time before the movie actually came out, and it went well into the time period when comic books back in 2021, late 2020, early 2022, when they were really fetching like ridiculous amounts of money. This book, I remember, I was like, oh, maybe I should go get it. And when I was looking for it, I couldn't believe the prices of it. I couldn't believe $300-$400 for a copy that I have. It's a pretty high grade copy, but I was just like, wow, I couldn't believe it. And I didn't spend that. So it took me a while to get this in my collection at a price that I felt comfortable with. But now, for those of you that like Gore the God Butcher, like I like him, as you can see him, he's right there behind me. I like the Gore from the comic, not from the movie. That movie was terrible. Talking about, again, going on with terrible movies. That movie is just ridiculous. You know, the character Thor just looked like a fool in that movie. It's cringe. But for those that like to collect first appearances, for those that like characters and all that stuff, pretty cool artwork, right? Good storyline. I think this is a great one to get. I think it's a great one to get. And I don't know, you could probably get a nice high grade. Now, when I say high grade, I don't mean like 9.6 or 9.8. I mean probably like 9.0, 9.2. You could probably get one for under $100, something like that. Trying to get like a 9.6 or a 9.8 of this back 2-3 years ago. Good luck. But again, it's one of those books that has gone down. And it's one of those books I think is going to stay down. I don't think it's like, oh, it's going to come back. You know, the way everyone would always argue with Carnage. Oh, Carnage, oh, he's going to come in. No. Yeah, I think Carnage has his moments where he goes up and he goes way down. And that's it. It's not like Venom. Venom is a different story. But even with Venom, when it comes to value, there's a little bit of shakiness. But that's Affordable 2, Volume 2. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. I have a bunch of things coming out, and hopefully I'll have a comic book haul coming out soon. I don't know when, but we'll see what happens. And talk to you and see you later. Bye-bye.